Old Dairy, Helles.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. I've just tried the McEwen's Champion. That was absolute dog shit. Didn't like that at all. So that went down ye oldie sink. And now I've got a can of this stuff. And this is the Helles from the Old Dairy Brewery, which is based in Kent. Not too far away from me, in a place called Tenterden, and it's based in or near the station there. And just so as you know, I had a brewery tour organised there. Mrs. got it for me. Was it for me 51st or me 50th? One of my birthdays. COVID put the kibosh on it. I can't find the paperwork, so I'm going to have to ring them up and see if I can do a brewery tour there without my paperwork, because it's fucking lost in them. I'm in upheaval at the moment because I'm trying to sort all my stuff out for the studio and everything, and this room, as you can probably see, is just jam-packed full of crap, basically. Just guitars, beer bottles, everything, you know, the essentials basically. And I was really looking forward to that brewery tour, and as I say, COVID put the kibosh on it, but I did find a shop in a place called Staplehurst which did their beers in bottles, and yeah, really enjoyed them. I think it was it the blue top. Really recommend that. They did a red top, which I think was a bitter. It wasn't that good, the bitter, but the other one, I think it was like an old ale or a strong ale. That was really nice. I really enjoyed that. There is a place in Maidstone called the Sellers Arms. I was in there the other night. I met a mate there for a beer. He gave me this. Thank you very much, Andrew, if you're watching. And they do quite a lot of their beers on draft or on from cask, I think, and it's really nice. And that was my first introduction to Old Dairy, and I quite liked what they did. So, as I say, I sort of investigated them further, and they're not a bad brewery. Now, I haven't tasted this Helles before, but there's a couple of alarm bells that are ringing on this. Now, shall I wait now or? No, I'll do it now because I want to make a point. It says Old Dairy Brewery, Helles, and it's got the ABV. I'll tell you that in the next section. But it's got lemongrass and gooseberry. What the fuck is that doing in a Helles? That's what I want to know. Ingredients: water, malted barley, hops, yeast, wheat. Wheat again. Alarm bells are ringing on this one. And I'm sort of mixing the next section in with this section. So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just skip to the next section. This is a 440ml can. Oh, they wind me up, they do. 4.7%. Helles. Lemongrass and gooseberry. There you go. I'm not fucking making it up. That's what it says. Why would you do that? Why would you call it a Helles? Helles is a German style lager. Why would you do that and put lemongrass and gooseberry in it? Have you put lemongrass and gooseberry in it? I don't know. Right, this is either going to be very nice or absolute dog shit. But I just want to make a point clear, and I do say this about a lot of craft beers. They've called that Helles. They could easily have called that lager with a twist, and I'd have got that. But if you call it Helles, you know, it's like, I don't know, brewing a bitter and putting, I don't know, a fucking pineapple milkshake flavour in it. and calling it a bitter. You just, maybe it's me being an old curmudgeon, but that does wind me up when they call it a Helles and they put all kinds of nonsense into it, American hops and stuff like that. I don't know. I just don't think it should be done. Either call it lager with a twist or something like that, but don't call it Helles. If I buy something that's got Helles written on it, I want to taste something like that comes out of Bavaria, or even, you know, anywhere in Germany that does a light coloured beer. Not something with fucking gooseberries in it. But let's not be too harsh. The proof is in the tasting, so let's get it home and let's see what's going on. I'm going to use this glass. I've got a whiff of something there. What was that? I will tell you in a moment. 440ml. Yeah. Oh, that winds me up, that 440ml. Give us 500 or nothing. There it is. It is cloudy. It is unfiltered. It is unpasteurised. They have said that. On the nose. Wow. Lots of sulphur. Oh, that doesn't smell good at all. Is that a gooseberry I'm smelling? Is this a gooseberry I see before me? I will say one thing about Old Dairy. They do a Hefeweizen and it's absolutely fucking brilliant. Really good. I was really impressed by that. I had it on from keg, but it was really good, very in keeping with the style. They also do a Marzen as well. I see it advertised the other day. Haven't tried that. But if it's like the Hefeweizen that they did, and they did say it was like a Bavarian Hefeweizen, and they were pretty bang on with the flavour. I mean, I have to say, I was really impressed by it. So when I got this Helles, I thought, oh yeah, maybe they've gone all German on us and they're trying to brew some decent German beer. Then I see gooseberry and fucking lemongrass and I'm thinking, why have you done that? Yeah. There's like a sour sherbet style aroma to it. It's quite vague. I'm wondering whether that's sulphur or not. Sometimes you do get that in certain German beers. You get that real lemon stroke sulphur type flavour to it. Oh well, as I say, the proof is in the tasting. So let's shut up and let's get this down the hatch. Bottoms up. Just before I do say bottoms up, let me just give you a quick history on that saying. Now there's rumours, I don't think it's true, I think it's a myth, but it's a good story. The reason that bottoms up is a salutation for drinkers, it supposedly goes back to the days of the British Empire back in the 1800s, where what's known as the King's Shilling is basically means if you signed up for the British Army or the Royal Navy at the time, you would get a shilling, and that shilling was called the King's Shilling. It didn't amount to much, you couldn't buy much with it, but it was symbolic of you giving your word that you were going to join. And the Royal Navy used to have press gangs, and you wouldn't voluntarily go into the Royal Navy, not usually unless you was an officer. If you was a rank and file, then it was a hard life, believe me, a real hard life. Very dangerous as well, and the rewards, well, weren't that great. And the rumour was that they would go round the ale houses and go up to drunks and they would drop in a shilling into the bottom of the glass, and when you drink a beer, the bottom of the glass goes up, and then at the bottom you would see the King's Shilling, and that would be you taking the King's Shilling and giving your word that you will join the Royal Navy. So what landlords supposedly did, I don't believe this, they had clear bottoms at the on their glass, on their drinking vessels, so you could see whether there was a shilling under there. I don't believe that or not. I just think bottoms up means let's look at the bottom of the glass, which means you're going to tip the glass up and you're going to drink it. So there you go. That's the interpretation of bottoms up. So, cheers. That's not the worst beer in the world. It's quite a full-bodied beer. It hasn't got the clean taste of a German Helles because, as you can see, it's unfiltered, it's unpasteurised, and I think they've put wheat in there, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, it's got wheat in there, and you do get quite a big body on that. However, the gooseberry that's in this is very, very subtle, in my opinion, and this is quite a refreshing beer. It doesn't stand out as being amazing. So it's certainly no Augustiner, I will say that. But there's a lot of body in this for a Helles, as they call it. I would say it's just okay. It doesn't bowl me over. It's just one of them beers that it tastes like a craft lager. And to be honest, most craft lagers, from my experience, are bang average, but they're quite expensive and you only get full 40ml, if you're lucky. There's nothing here that would want to make me drink this again. Certainly not if they had their Hefeweizen on tap. Now, they haven't bottled that and they haven't canned their Hefeweizen. I think they're really missing a trick because that is a good Hefeweizen. In fact, aside from the Sam Smith's organic wheat beer, it's one of the best attempts at a Bavarian beer from this country, or a Bavarian wheat beer, I should say. I mean, it's not up there with Schneider Weiss at all, or Weihenstephaner, but it's okay. I mean, if it had come from in a blindfold test, if somebody told me this has come from a small Bavarian brewery, I'd say yeah, very, very nice indeed, very acceptable. But doing a Helles like this, I don't know. I know they do make a thing about not pasteurising or filtering their beer. Supposedly it leaves more flavour in there. To be honest, I don't think lager, well, I'm saying that, Keller beer is unfiltered, of course, so that just blows my theory out the water. It's perfectly okay. It's quite malty. There's an earthiness to it that I think this must be the water, because the Kent water is very hard. Contains, well, it's probably filtered through chalk, so you do get a lot of limescale. But there's a flavour that I have tasted in a few Kent beers, and it's that hard water type flavour. I think if you're going to brew a Helles, you need pure, clear water. That's what gives it its nice, clean flavour. This has just got a hell of a lot of body on it. It's certainly not what I would consider a Helles. In fact, thinking about it now, it's got more in common with a Keller beer, looking like that. If it was a little bit more cloudy, maybe. I suppose that's what Keller beer is, but I don't know why they've called it a Helles. I know I keep repeating myself, but I'm going to keep repeating myself. Yeah, it's just okay. not the greatest. So what is the verdict on Old Dairy Helles? Well, it's just average, really. I don't know why they've sort of strived to go for lemongrass and gooseberry in a fucking Helles. You know, what's wrong with just brewing a normal Helles? I don't think there's anything to differentiate this between any other craft beer. Now, you can argue that Helles or lager is not a very flavoursome style of beer. You know, I'd argue that point. I'd say try some of the really good Bavarian stuff. Try Löwenbräu, try Augustiner, try the Hacker-Shaw stuff. Then come back and say Helles doesn't really have any flavour. But this one, it just doesn't stand out, I think. It's leaving me very underwhelmed. I wouldn't say underwhelmed, just nonplussed. I'm trying to think of the adjective. It's just yeah. They've attempted to brew a Helles. It's not the worst in the world, but it's certainly not the best. I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. I've been a little bit generous there as well, because I don't know how much this cost. This was given to me by a mate as a present, and I would imagine if I was buying this in the shop it would be over £3. I should have researched this before, I do apologise, but this is certainly not for 440ml, £3 a can. Nah, do not bother. If it was £2 a can, which I very much doubt, I'd say I'll buy it once and never again. But yeah, if this is £3 a can, then seriously don't bother. There's nothing to make me want to buy this ever again. And if you've got that sort of money that you want to spend, buy a German Helles. Why go for a poor or a not cheap imitation? But on its own merits, it isn't a bad beer. There's no real nasties in it. It just leaves me underwhelmed. That's why I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. I'm not going to pan it because I don't think it warrants it. It's not that bad. It's not giving me the ump, apart from the price. It's okay. It's got a fair amount of body on it. If it was really cold on a warm day, it'd be drinkable, but yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice, put it that way. So 6 out of 10, and not really recommended. And remember, beer is working class champagne.